Per Gessler, so wonderful to yarn with you. Where in the world are you at the moment?
I'm in Cape Town in South Africa. We're having our opening show of the tour on Wednesday, so
How are you
getting the
feeling?
band. It feels good, Coming from the north to the south, I got a little sore throat right now, but I'll be fine on Wednesday. No worries.
That's it, the show must go on.
Yeah.
Music, of course, takes us away from the problems of the world, but your homeland, where you are, with all that's going on just across the Baltic Sea in Ukraine, how does that impact
Mm.
you and how does it feel now setting off on this world tour with all of that going on? Does that affect you?
Well, like you said, I mean, music is a wonderful thing. I'm just really proud to be able to spread the language of music to the world with what I'm doing. But at the same time, just like you're saying with the Ukraine and everything, it's a really horrible world at the moment. There's so many negative things happening, crazy people in charge in all parts of the world. And so now I actually stopped watching the news. The last week I was at home, I didn't watch the news at all because I got so tired with all these shootings and bombings. And
Yeah.
so I think what we can do probably is to lighten things up a bit, play music that people like and having a good time for a couple of hours.
Absolutely. We
Hopefully.
need it. We need it more than ever. And of course, you're
Yeah, I guess.
coming to this side of the world. That's where you're bound for concerts here for the first time in a
Mm.
decade. And of course, with a
Yeah.
new singer, Lena Philipsson. Before we talk about the shows, can you tell us more about Lena? Because you've known her for a long time.
Yeah, well, I co-wrote her breakthrough song in 1986, a long time ago, even before Roxette made it big. So the circle sort of closes when she joined me for the Roxette tour. But I never really met her that much. Over the years, she's had a career, and I've been having my career. And I wrote a couple of more songs for her during the '90s and so forth. But in 2023, I did an album in Swedish with lots of other singers doing duets with me, and I came to think about Lena because she's a brilliant singer, and she came down to my studio on the Swedish West Coast, and we worked on a song, and she just blew me away. The way she was singing and her personality and everything. So I thought maybe I should ask if she wanted to sing Roxette songs with me, and I did. After a couple of weeks, I phoned her up and had this meeting with her, and she just fell off her chair, of course. But after a couple of days, she said, yes, let's do it. So we tried things out acoustically, just me on the guitar and she singing, and changed some keys, of course, and this and that. But she's just astonishing, and she's been around since she was in her teens. So she's not as old as I am, but she's been around.
You are perennially young, mate. You're a young man. I know it.
No, but it's good. She's like, and it's a big thing for any singer to take on this task of singing Roxette songs, and there were actually a couple of songs that Lena told me that they were so complicated to sing, so she'd rather not try them out because she didn't understand how Marie was doing it. But I think that is also one of the reasons why Roxette music still is played a lot all over the world. It's basically very simple pop songs, but you don't really get tired of it because it's very sophisticated productions, and it's just something else that is a little bit unique, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and often deceptively simple. They're amazing arrangements, may I say. You
Yeah.
mentioned Marie. How hard was it for you to hear another voice singing these songs that are synonymous and have been personified by Marie? And of course, Marie Fredriksson, your on stage and on record partner since 1986. She passed away from cancer in 2019. So to imagine someone else singing those songs,
Mm.
how big a hurdle was that for you?
Well, I didn't when Marie passed away in 2019. I didn't really know what to do with Roxette at all. The first thing I thought about was, of course, to cancel everything and let it lie. But then after a couple of years, I just felt like, hey, I wrote all these songs, and I want to play these songs for a lot of people if they still want to hear it. So all these ideas to do something with the music came up to me again. So when Lena and I started working and singing together, I was ready for that, so to speak. I was prepared to hear someone else sing them. And Lena is also the kind of singer that she's she's doing her own thing. She's got a very strong personality, the way she sings. So it became like a different thing, so to speak, which was actually amazing. I don't want this Roxette to be like a Roxette cover band, if you know what I mean. I want it to be something special. But she's doing as you will notice that when you see her and hear her sing, that she's doing her own thing, and she's just an amazing singer. So I'm really glad that I found her.
Per, you raise a really interesting point, because for those of us who have fallen in love with these songs via the radio, via a CD, on the internet, a song is almost frozen in time because it reminds us of a moment, of a person in our lives. But for the creator of that song, for the person who gave birth to that song, I guess it's like an organic living thing that can continue to grow. I'm wondering, is that the case? And if so, how have your songs grown with Lena now singing them?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, a song, just because the song is recorded and released doesn't mean that it's finished. You know, every time you play every time we play It Must Have Been Love or play The Look or Joyride, you know, it becomes a new version of it. And maybe I have like a different drummer or different bass player or whatever. And then that changes the whole, you know, the spine of the song, you know, not to mention if you change the vocalist, of course. So a song will never really be finished. And sometimes you even, after like 20 years, you might edit the song down a bit because you felt like, hey, I don't really need that third verse, you know, let's skip the third verse and do it with two verses. And suddenly it becomes a different song, which makes sense at the moment, you know. So songs are never really finished, for me anyway. And I guess that goes for every songwriter.
And I guess that's why songs are so tightly entwined with life itself, the way we grow.
Yeah. Because that's the magic of music as well, you know. When as soon as you hear a song, as soon as I hear like a Simon and Garfunkel song or a Beatles song or a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, you know, I travel back to my youth, you know, and I think about, you know, some silly thing that happened or whatever.
You've written or co-written all of Roxette's songs, and the world knows your ability with a melody and harmonies because you've had the world singing your songs. But clearly, and I was reading the lyrics again today, you clearly love words. You love the power of words and of storytelling. So I wondered, as I was reading these lyrics, what comes first for you, the stories, the lyrics, or the music?
Well, to start a song, I always start like with something musical, you know, something like a chord progression or a melody line, just a fragment, and then I try to find what could this song be about, you know, and maybe I try to find a title, or maybe a subject. So then it goes back and forth all the time until it's sort of finished. And the music goes much faster for me to write. The lyrics, I need to write the lyrics, and then I have to put them to rest for maybe a couple of days, and then just read them on its own. And, you know, this doesn't really make sense. Wasn't what I was trying to say or whatever. So I have to sort of work on the lyrics for a couple of weeks at least, you know, and so obviously being Swedish and not being a native English or American, when I look at it myself, you know, I wrote pretty terrible lyrics just when I started out, and they have become better over the years. I'm not saying that they're brilliant, but they're better than they used to be. But I spent like 19 years not writing in Swedish at all, wow, just to get better in English, and, you know, to make proper English lyrics. And it takes a lot of time if you're not English. One of the things that I'm most proud of actually is that having this success that we've had in English-speaking countries, it's really hard to do if you're not English.
Your storytelling is fantastic. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
To do that in a 3 or 4 minute song, to distill a story that is universal, that makes sense to someone anywhere in the world. I mean, it's quite a skill, quite a gift.
Thank you very much.
And as a songwriter, you can chart, I think, your growth as a person. You had that album of songs you recorded in hotel rooms and places all over the world in 1992 called Tourism. Then you had applied the same idea in 2012 with an album called Travelling. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. That tells us something about this guy, because tourists go out to see and learn more about the world. Travellers go out into the world to see and learn more about themselves. So after all those years on the road, going from being a rock and roll tourist to a traveller, what have you learnt about you?
Oh, very tough question. But I agree with everything you say. I mean, sometimes I feel like I've been all over the world, but I haven't seen anything because I've been locked up in my own little bubble. And, and you're traveling all the time. And if you have day off, you're on a plane or on a train or on a bus, you're going somewhere. I don't know. I just became an adult and a person on the road, basically, working and working. I've been doing that since I was 18 years old. And when I got a family and got married and kids and everything, a kid actually, it's just one. They came along and we had a teacher with us so he couldn't so he shouldn't miss school and everything. So you adjust your life to the lifestyle you're living on the road with in this particular thing with Roxette. So I mean it just becomes who you are basically.
Did you write any songs while in Australian hotel rooms?
Um, I don't know. Maybe I did. I can't remember. I remember writing. No, that was in Japan. I wrote a song that became very big in Sweden for my Swedish band in the late 90s.
Uh-huh.
I wrote that in a dressing room in Japan. I remember that for some reason. I don't know.
The
It's so many
places,
songs.
so many songs, so many places. Now that you are about to be back on the road, and here you are in Cape Town as we yarn with Lena singing, what's the biggest aspect of excitement? What's the biggest sense of anticipation, even nervousness?
Well, I'm not really nervous. I'm more focused about how I will interact with Lena on stage, because she's used to work on her own, and I'm used to work on my own these days. So I'm thinking like, I wonder how she's gonna move doing Dress for Success, or how she's gonna move doing Sleeping in My Car. Because we haven't really rehearsed that. We have dress rehearsals, we have rehearsals and dress rehearsals, but it's so different when you do things in front of a crowd. So that is one thing I'm focused on, and the other thing is, of course, to get to see what's the Roxette audience gonna think about this, and who are they? It's been 9 years since I did a Roxette concert, so time has gone by. Is going to come a new generation? Is going to be the old people coming, or what is it? So there's a lot of question marks, but it's all in a positive vibe. So I'm pretty pleased with the situation.
What do you think Marie would have said about you touring once more? Indeed, is it something you talked about?
Yeah, we did. And she told me to continue, so it was no big deal. And for me, it wasn't about that. It was all about how you should do this in a proper way. And I think if it would be the reverse thing as well. If Marie was still here and I was gone, she would been playing and singing all these Roxette songs forever. As long as there are people out there who's interested and want to hear them, we should do it, because we have a fantastic catalog of songs that is appreciated all over the world. So it would be a shame not to play these songs.
I agree, and we get to hear them, hear these songs once more at Day on the Green in the Hunter Valley on March 15th. Per Gessler, so wonderful to yarn with you. Safe travels, mate, and we look forward to seeing you in Australia.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.